you can also make a response to it. If you don't have a ready answer, then you can certainly research it and find the answer. Well, it's not a question. I said an answer, but it's not a response. You can make a response to that if you choose to. Okay, I said we were going to remain in Chahta because there seemed to be still some misunderstanding about Chahta and how it's going to be used. I know there was a misunderstanding on the use of nata when I used the term nata hosh, and people were wanting to say who, but Chahta is who, nata is what. Then there were those that said, well, it should be this or it should be that, or why isn't it this or why isn't it that? Well, we haven't learned everything yet. And you'll understand how things are going to fall into place once we understand a little bit more about the language itself and the uses of the different words, and that we can't make something what we want it to be. So in order to better understand this, let's go back to the top of the page. Chahta. Chahta is very much like nata in that it substitutes for noun phrases in any position and must have the subject marker hosh. And I don't use the contracted form, the sh, when it is the subject. So let's go back to page 50. In that last paragraph before the examples, it says, when a question word is the subject of the sentence, it must have a subject marker, but this marker is not at. Instead, we use another subject marker, osh, in most Choctaw writings, we see the predicative h from the previous word connected to osh, and this is how it's going to appear, hosh, and that's how we teach it nowadays. So in looking at the examples for nata, all the examples for nata, and looking at all the examples for chahta, you're going to see that even when you use nouns as subjects of the sentence, or if you're using a pronoun, the placement of nata and chahta are going to be the same. Nata and chahta, when they are subjects or part of the subject of the sentence, it's going to take the marker hosh. And then when it is the object, then you'll see its placement as an object, because there's going to be something else that is the subject of the sentence doing the action of the word, the verb, I'm sorry. And we didn't have an activity on this. We looked at information. Activity, the last one you had was using nata as an object and nata as a subject. So today I've got some sentences for you to look at. I'm going to clear the screen. I was going to ask you, Laura, did you and John get your invitation for the cultural meeting that's coming up in Tampa? I know y'all drove quite a ways last time to attend, but I was wondering if y'all were going to be there again this year. Oh, okay, great. It'll be good to see y'all again. Excuse me, people, I'm gonna have to take this call. Okay, I was typing some things into the whiteboard. These are uses of the, oh dear. When I type, sometimes my computer, if I get stuck on one letter or space, and it just keeps going, and it's irritating. But these words are going to, I'm sorry, these sentences are going to be using nata and kata in the object position and in the subject position. The first one says Nanta hosh bok pit balili. Nanta hosh bok pit balili. Kata hosh choka alatok. Kata hosh choka alatok. Okay, I'm going to change Allah to Iya. Changing Allah to Iya. Kata hosh choka iatok. Allah tikmat nanta pit haklo. Allah tikmat nanta pit haklo. Allah nakni pat kata pit pisa. Allah nakni pat kata pit pisa. So looking at these sentences, you can clearly see the subject first in each one of these sentences. And then the verb at the end of the sentence. In the place of the object, you see the words nanta and kata. So this is fairly easy to see by following the parts of the sentence, subject, object, and verb. And then when we do this one, we're going to look at some more examples using pronouns. That kind of gets a little bit confusing because some want to mark what the noun is as the subject of the sentence when the pronoun is the subject. So we want to take a look at that too. But if you will send your translations for these. Nanta hosh bok pit balili, kata hosh choka iatok, Allah tikmat nata pit haklo, Allah nagni pat kata pit pisa. And I'll wait for your answers. Okay, everybody's got the worksheets, so let's go over these. Nata hosh bok pit balili. Nata hosh bok pit balili. So here we have nata hosh beginning the sentence. Nata marked with hosh tells us it's the subject of the sentence. So we know the first word is what? Bok pit balili. Bok is the object. Pit balili, running to or running toward. Bok is river. What is running to the river? What is running or runs? As long as you stay with the present tense, you're okay. What is running to the river? What runs to the river or toward? To or toward, either one is okay. What is running toward the river? What is running to the river? What runs to the river? What runs toward the river? All of this is going to be okay. Then we have the second one. Kata hosh choka iatok. Kata hosh choka iatok. So clearly, kata is the subject of the sentence because it's marked with hosh, the subject marker for a question word that is the subject. Katahush chuka. Chuka iatuk. Iatuk went. Katahush chuka iatuk. Chuka being house or home. Who went home? Who went home? Alatik mat. Alatik mat. That girl. That girl. Nata pithaklo. And here when we have an English question, you're going to have a helping word. And not in this case, but I'm thinking in terms of when we have do or does, did. Alatik mat nata pithaklo. We don't need a helping word in this one. So that girl, alatik mat nanta, what? Pithaklo is listening to or listens to. Alatik mat, what is going to begin your sentence, because that's what happens when we translate to the English. The question word jumps to the front of the sentence. That girl, what is that girl listening to? There is no word that says little here. Alatik means girl. There is no word that says little. Alatik matnata pithaklo. What is that girl listening to? Another way that I would interpret this is and I had said before that a lot of times you're going to hear speakers use hakalo for hear or listen to, and you will hear speakers also use hanklo for listen to or hear. So I would accept either one of these. What does that girl hear? What is that girl listening to? And in the case of the second sentence is where we would need the helping word for does hear. And the fourth one, Allah nakni pat. This boy, there's no word that says little. This boy, kata pit pinsa. Kata pit pinsa. And here we're going to use that helping word again for see. Does see. Does see. Pinsa, to see. And here again, if you want to use the term for looking at, that's okay too. Because I have mentioned before that to me, they both mean the same, because you're going to hear speakers using pinsa for look at, and they're going to also use pinsa for to see. It depends on context. It depends on the context of how they're speaking. And there are going to be speakers who use pisa for see, pinsa for look at, and interchangeably. So I would accept either one of these. Listen to, I'm sorry, see or look at. But my translation for this would be, whom does this boy see? Whom does this boy see? Allah nakni pat kata pit pinsa. This boy does see whom? Would be the statement. This boy does see whom? And then in the construction of the English, your question word is going to begin the sentence. Whom does this boy see? Do you have any questions? Okay, I'm going to clear the screen and let's go ahead and look at katohmi. We're not going to look at both of these because they are two different words, two different meanings. Katohmi. Katohmi is the term that's asking how many. Always refers to some noun phrase, so it appears as a modifier of a noun phrase. This is something to keep in mind, a modifier in a noun phrase. It appears after the noun just as other modifiers do in the position where the number that it substitutes for would appear. When the noun phrase modified by katohmi is the subject, it takes the subject marker hush. So let's take a look at these examples. The first one says, Luksi katohmi hashpin satuk. Luksi katohmi hashpin satuk. Luksi katohmi hashpin satuk. How many turtles did you all see? How many turtles did you all see? Okay. We know that hush is the subject of the sentence because it's the agent marker. Katohmi is going to modify luksi. Luksi is the object in this sentence. Luksi katohmi hashpin satuk. Luksi katohmi hashpin satuk. So looking at luksi as this object in the sentence, katohmi is going to ask how many. Katohmi asks for a number. The word katohmi, asking how many, is asking for a number. Katohmi asks for a number. So we see that katohmi is replaced by the answer, hannali. Luksi hannali iho pinsatuk. Luksi katohmi, luksi hannali. Now look at the next one. It says hoshi katohmi hosh kuchahili. Hoshi katohmi hosh kuchahili. We see that hosh follows hoshi katohmi. And this tells us that hoshi katohmi is the subject of the sentence. How many birds? Hosh tells us that hoshi katohmi is the subject of the sentence. How many birds? Kucha hili. Kucha is outside. Hili, to fly, meaning the plural form of fly. So then making this into an English question, the question word comes to the beginning of the sentence. How many? How many birds are flying outside? How many birds are flying outside? So in the place of hoshi katohmi, you see hoshi tuchina. In example D, hoshi tuchina yat kuchahili. Hoshi tuchina yat kuchahili. So in these examples, you see katohmi is going to modify the noun that is the object in the sentence. Katohmi can also modify the noun that is the subject of the sentence. Do you have any questions on this part? Okay, examples using katohme. Natahosh. I'm sorry. Nata and kata and katohme. Natahosh kuchahele. Natahosh kuchahele. Clearly, nata is the subject of the sentence. Katahosh abanili mabanili. Katahosh abanili mabanili. Who is the subject in this sentence? Katos katohme hosh. Katos is the noun that is the subject of the sentence. Katohme is going to modify katos. Hosh is going to mark that noun phrase as the subject of the sentence. Katos katohme hosh ilpak apa. Natahosh kuchahili, katahosh abanili ma benili. And I've used the nasal form in benili because it's happening right now. Benili. Katos katohme hosh ilpak apa. These are examples on how nata is the subject, kata is the subject, and katohme is going to modify the noun that is the subject of the sentence. Do you have any questions on this part? And these are examples using, I would use other examples using the nouns as subjects of the sentence. Okay, got one more to do. First example says Ankiat nata achifatuk. Ankiat nata achifatuk. Nata being the object in this sentence. Anki is the subject. Sashkiat kata hoyo. Sashkiat kata hoyo. Sashki the subject of the sentence. Kata is the object. Sashkiat kata hoyo. Then we have the katuhme that's going to modify the object isuba. Hatakchaha mat isuba katuhme pinsa. Hatakchaha mat isuba katuhme pinsa. And in the last three sentences, you have nanta as the object, kata as the object, and you see katuhme modifying isuba, which is the object in the sentence. Do you have any questions on this part? Okay, if there's nothing else, mark your page for, we're going to go on to Lawaka Tiohmi, then we'll come back and pick up both of them, Katohmi and Lawaka Tiohmi. So mark your page for 51, and we'll begin there when we come back on Monday. No questions, so I'm going to go ahead and close class, and y'all have a good weekend. I will see you on Monday. Peace and Lachki.